Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show today, Wednesday, 23rd November 2022. I hope you're having a lovely Wednesday morning. I am your host, Zipporah Mshala, shortly to be joined by my co-host, Miriam Kaimba. Today we're taking you into politics as we talk about current affairs. At 7:30, we're going to officially open our phone lines as we get joined by a political activist, Mr. Chanda Mulenga, to help us discuss current affairs, among them the proposed impeachment of the head of state for allegedly granting a private company known as Grant Thornton to audit the Ministry of Defense. So we're going to open our phone lines, and please participate in the conversation by calling the numbers that will be scrolling on your screen or leaving us messages on Facebook. And at 8 hours, we're going to be joined by President of the Leadership Movement Party, Dr. Richard Silumbe, to just take us into other current affairs here in the country. But just now, before we start our day, let's just have a little exercise to get fit. So let's just have the morning boost.
Hello guys, it's another edition. Today we are doing chest. It's your boy Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy, here at Chonze Fitness in conjunction with the Camnet Fitness team. And today I'm going to show you the chest. It's a home workout. And by the way, don't forget to get yourself Chonze Fitness gym attire. It's all the way here in Kablonga. And let's go. Get ready. Okay. So first you start with the push-ups, straight push-ups, 12 to 15 reps. We go. So make sure that your whole body is straight as you are going up, as you are going down and up. Doing a superset. After this, I'm doing a knee push-up, 15. After this, we are doing a box push-up, 15 again. Get ready. You take a chill for just seconds, for probably 20 seconds. To relax yourself. If you want, you get yourself some water. Okay, you relax, 20 seconds. Okay, you go again for another round. We were doing 15, now we've reduced to 12. So if you have time, you can go up to 5 repetitions. We go, body straight, and go. Let's go. Knee push-ups, 12. Box push-up, 12. Two more. Okay, you take a chill. Okay, so you can also go for five repetition. Then after that, you do your stretch. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we are done. You have been with me, Harrison, aka the Fitness Papi. See you next time.
But when it heals, it beats for you. You know it's forward, but it's true. You know my thoughts are running loose. It's just a thing you make me do. You never find me, what's the use? I know I'd go back to you. I wanna hold you when I'm not supposed to.
I hope you enjoyed your exercise there early in the morning. We are sweating. I'm just joined now by my co-host Miriam Kemba, who has also enjoyed the exercise. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning, Zipporah. I enjoyed the exercise with the Fitness Papi. You know, I was just doing 1 or 2 things to ensure that my flu is gone forever. But today I feel much better, Zipporah.
I remember someone yesterday telling you, go and get tested for COVID. Do you remember that?
But you people, I assured you that it wasn't COVID.
It wasn't COVID, and we're definitely vaccinated.
Yeah, we're definitely vaccinated.
You know, yeah, we're definitely vaccinated. As journalists, it's important for us.
It's a must. It's a must that you get vaccinated because Zipporah, you are ever in the field, you're exposed to so many people, you meet so many people on a daily basis. So it's very, very important that you get vaccinated. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Just now, we take a look at the health corner so that we can know our health tips for today. So let's just take a look at what the doctors have for us this morning, and just a reminder that the health corner is actually up for sponsorship as well as the money market. So why not sponsor them to get visibility for your brand? But let's just take a look at the health corner.
Good morning. My name is Francisca Walia. I'm a medical doctor specialized in psychiatry, a mental health field of medicine. And today I'm coming representing the Medical Women Association of Zambia as we create awareness around mental health. So we've been speaking about what mental health is. We took time to appreciate that mental health is an area of medicine that looks at how we think, act, and feel. And we actually also took time to look at some of the symptoms of mental health presentations. What things should we look out for to assess our mental well-being? And we spoke of various aspects like our sleep, our eating pattern, our thinking pattern, our social habits, and of course, our alcohol or drug consumption patterns as well. Today we're going to speak about a common mental health presentation, and that's depression. I know a lot of times people can use the word very loosely. I am depressed. And when they say that, they just mean they're sad, they're not their best that day. But when we think of it medically, what do we mean when we say someone is actually depressed? Is it because you've just woken up today, you're a bit on your off side, and you're like, I'm so depressed? Or someone didn't give you the gift that you want that day, and you're like, oh my, I'm so depressed. Sometimes we use this word loosely. Though today, let's just try and look at when we think of medically, what do we mean by depression? So depression is a mood disorder. So a disorder that focuses on how one feels emotionally. And when we're talking about depression, we're talking about one feeling low or sad most of the time. It's okay, different things happen in life, and one can actually feel sad at a particular point in time. And it's understandable. But for how long do you remain sad? For how long do you remain in that place? And how does that affect you in general and various areas of your life? Someone could have disappointed you. It can take you a day or two. You're sad, you're low, but you'll still find yourself, you're productive, you're doing various aspects, or maybe even for a day or two you isolate yourself a bit, or you keep away from social media or certain aspects. But by the 4th, 5th, 6th or so day, we expect someone to kind of be improving or starting to deal with the various stress that they've experienced. But if one finds themselves almost every day, every other day, one is feeling sad, they're feeling low, and it's not something that they can just put themselves out of it, and you find that goes on even past 2 weeks, then there we have a problem. So now in that case, there are higher chances that this individual might be depressed, medically or clinically. Then further, it could be that one maybe is no longer enjoying various activities that they used to enjoy. Maybe you're one of those people who was very social, you liked going out for parties, or you liked jogging, but you now start finding yourself, you don't want to go to parties, you don't want to be around people, you can't jog, you can't watch movies, you're not enjoying anything that you used to enjoy. Let's say you even used to enjoy your work, but now nothing. There are high chances that you might be depressed, especially if this goes on for more than 2 weeks. Though of course, various aspects come in as well, and various features. It doesn't mean just because you have that one side or symptom, then that is it. Further, there are various other presentations that could speak to you most likely being depressed. One of them is one sleeping habit. Have you found yourself, you're sleeping so much and you just want to sleep? Others will even use the term like, I just feel like I could just sleep forever. Or you just can't sleep. You're awake even after a long day, busy day, you've applied yourself. You're having difficulty sleeping. Or when you sleep, you wake up very tired, as if you have not rested. Are you losing weight? You are losing so much weight in a short period of time. Or you gain so much weight in a short period of time. You're having difficulty eating. You can't eat. Even when you're hungry, even if you've had so much activities, you haven't eaten for the whole day, 2 days, or you're eating so much. And of course, depending on what extreme, that will also present itself physically. One either gaining weight, extreme weight, or one losing a lot of weight. Your energy levels. You find an individual is just feeling like they don't have energy, they don't have strength to do anything. They're just feeling weak, they can't apply themselves. Is that you? Are you experiencing that? There are high chances that you could actually be depressed. Then further, your concentration, it's poor. When someone just disrupts you or is trying to talk to you, you can't actually even maintain a conversation. Sometimes people's energy can be so low that even talking feels like work. Then maybe you find yourself isolating yourself. You don't want to socialize with people. You just want to be alone. For others in a severe presentation, even their memory is affected. They can't remember well different things or different aspects of their lives. And of course, that we will see will definitely affect their productivity. Let's imagine this is a school-going person. That will definitely affect their education output. Or it could be someone at work. They'll start failing to apply themselves at work. Because for us to be productive, it needs a certain level of concentration, attention, and energy, which someone who is depressed may not have those. Then sometimes one's perception to life, you find that one is just negative, they're not hopeful, they feel miserable most of the time. And further, a severe presentation is one is actually having thoughts of harming themselves, of ending their life. For us as human beings, our natural instinct is to survive. So when we find someone, they're desiring, thinking, or planning to end their life, that indeed is a great red flag, because naturally, our instincts as human beings is to survive. And when we talk about depression, you realize that it will end up affecting one's life, one's various areas of their life, their daily functionality. Let's give an example of a woman, since we're in the week of women. A mother, let's give an example of a mother. This is a woman, she's a mother, she's got 3 children, she's married, she's got a spouse, and she's also working, and she's severely depressed. How does that affect her life? Do we think this woman will be able to apply herself well as a mother to her children? Very unlikely. There are high chances of those children experiencing a form of neglect. not intentionally, but because this woman is not in her best frame of mind. Then you find it affects the children. This can further then affect the performance of these children academically. And we see that it just doesn't end at one life. It further affects many other lives. Then we see her as a spouse as well. You find she's not able to bring herself to a place to interact well with her spouse, with her husband. Then you find now it becomes a vicious cycle. Then you find further stress now coming from the spouse, because this woman is not able to apply herself. It could be intimately or use various tasks that maybe the husband would expect her to apply herself. So again, we see another area of this woman's life affected. Further, let's say she's a woman, she's a medical doctor, she goes forward. How is this woman applying herself? People are expecting her to perform, to attend to patients, to clients, but her herself, she's not well. That would definitely affect how she attends to the public. Why did I give this example? I just want us to appreciate how mental health can actually affect an individual. And when one has a mental health presentation such as depression, it doesn't only affect that individual, it affects their family, their community, and the nation at large. So let us look out for each other. Thank you.
Quite interesting there. We heard from the doctor talking about depression and saying it's actually a serious medical condition. Miriam, in the Western world, people take depression seriously.
But we don't, Zipporah.
Here you just end up going in Njara.
And
But there someone will be like, I've been diagnosed with depression. You know, it's a diagnosis.
And it sounds funny anyway.
Because of that notion that we have, like, a depression.
Exactly. Anyway, are you sure you're depressed?
Yeah, just go and sleep.
Just go and sleep. Just go and eat. I think in Injara, eat something, you feel better. But meanwhile, someone is depressed, and we should take things seriously. This is the reason why we have seen in the recent past, Zipporah, an increase in the cases of people committing suicide. You know, because someone is depressed, they tell you they want someone to hear them out, but you know, you push them aside and just say, Ninja, or forget about it.
Or maybe you're not tough. When life gets tough, you tough get going and all those other things.
Imagine.
But it's something that needs attention.
And especially when it comes to men, you know, in a society where we live in, you'll be like, okay, men need to be strong. But you should realize that they also have some issues, okay, that they're going through, and they need an ear to talk to listen. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Quite interesting. There is now take a look at today's money market before we jump into our next segment, which is zooming the headlines. So let's just take a look at today's money market. So we have the great British pound buying at 19 kwacha 69 ngwe, selling at 20 kwacha 08 ngwe. The US dollar buying at 16 kwacha 57 ngwe, selling at 16 kwacha 89 ngwe. The euro buying at 17 kwacha 1 ngwe, selling at 17 kwacha 35 ngwe. The South African rand buying at 0 kwacha 96 ngwe, selling at 0 kwacha 98 ngwe, and that's our US dollar to the kwacha there, almost at 17 kwacha on the selling side as usual, as seen yesterday.
As usual, it's going towards 17, but anyway, things are still better. Like we said yesterday, things are still okay.
Yes, definitely. Just quickly jumping into the next segment, we now take a look at zooming the headline. Just at Miriam, we saw a story done by Prudence Trotter from Mutendere East, where a woman was complaining that the house has to be demolished. And you find that these are problems that are dealt with in the community, the issues of encroachment. So you can wonder, like, how is the segmentation done, first of all? Like, for people not to notice that, oh, this is going to be in someone's yard and all that. So that's one thing that we really have to work on, or that local authorities need to work on urgently, because that's inconveniencing. That woman says her toilet has to be broken down, her sock away, and obviously she struggled just to raise those funds.
And then when you say her toilet has to be broken down, and what? Then the question will be, what is she going to be using?
So, like, I'm sure, you know, people always invest their funds. When someone builds a house, they invest their funds.
They do.
They go through many things. They sacrifice food they don't eat just to make sure that they finish building. So it's really inconveniencing, so they need to make sure that in the first place, the correct things are done.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get direct into playing that story and we'll continue with our discussion.
Desperate to save a house from being demolished, a 53-year-old widow of Lusaka's Mtendere East Maplot area has called on the relevant authorities and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to help her save a house from being demolished after the courts ruled in favor of a neighbor who claims that the wall fence and part of her house have been built on the land which does not belong to her. According to the woman, she bought the 20 by 12 meter plot in 2010 from the former owner who clearly showed her the boundaries of the plot. She says problems started in 2020 after she erected a wall fence around her house, which the neighbor identified as Wasted Zimba now claims that she has encroached about 2.5 meters into his plot. The matter was later taken to the court by a neighbor who she said ruled in his favor and that he has handed her a notice that the wall fence, the soccer way and part of the house be demolished.
Ine pamene ninaitana amene vanandigulisa ploti vananilangiza muli malo ananilangiza na kabikoni after vanilangiza muli kabikoni ine namanga offense after namanga offense panapita 3 months vaneba vanga ndokamba tina vangena vanaenda ku court after vaenda ku court ruling pamene napasiniwa vanakamba tititane vakanso anabwera ninawauza pimani vanakana vakanso kupima anakamba tisindisaveta kupasani maploti. After that tinaenda ku court ruling vanapasinga kuti nichite demolish offense because vaneba vanga vanaclaim ati ninavangenera 2.7 meters naye mukayiyangana ploti yanga ngati vafuna kukwanya 2.7 meters, which means vazanipwanyira na nyumba manje nenzapereka kuti vana vakanipwanyira nyumba.
The woman has since called on the Ministry of Lands to send land surveyors to the area to ascertain if at all the claims by the neighbor are indeed true. She further adds that she has tried to reason with a neighbor and even agreed to pay him so that the matter can be put to rest, but that all efforts have failed and that a neighbor just wants part of a house to be demolished.
After passing a ruling in Nashta appeal kwenda kwa high court wanakamba ati your appeal has failed when they demolish offense but vanatumema surveyors yakutwachite bwandi vanitandizire vapime so that vaone malo yamene vaclaima vaja kuti navangena 2.7 meters pamene vachiyamani vanapima vanapeza ati mameasurement yanga niyokwana mameasurement yanga ni 20 by 12 nje amene namanga nyumba so vaneba vanga vazimba vafuna kuti nichite demolish manje soka awe na toilet nizaipereka kuti nimpeko ipereka chukwa malo nilibe tumamalo tuli kuno nitungu oma nitandizeko vanitumile masurveyors vabwere vapime vaone ngati zona ine ninavangena 2.7.
Meanwhile, Area Ward Development Chairperson identified as Mr. Nkashi when contacted for a comment told this reporter that he was the one who was demarcating plots in the area and that the woman has not encroached in anyone's property as is been claimed by a neighbor.
Nevo na pera la mblotia twashire tumano kupima twapima pamwe na wadupuka inakwana uli asengerere kuri ba maoko ine kwasengerere kuri ba mbuya kuri kwasengerere ashama lukunu manganda kulia.
And when contacted for a comment, the accused identified as Mr. Zimba directed this reporter to talk to the lawyers. But by broadcast time, this reporter was unable to get in touch with the said lawyers. We will, however, continue to follow up this matter with the said lawyers. For now, the hope of saving this woman's house lies in the relevant authorities coming in and intervene. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite sad story there, but quite something that we need to note, Zipporah, that each and every time we are buying land, we need to make sure that all the measurement, all the things, everything is intact and in check so that we avoid such situations in future. Very, very sad. I hope that the woman anyway will be helped by the relevant authorities. And yesterday, anyway, moving on to another story. Yesterday, Zipporah, we did see you do a story about the markets. Maybe you can just run us through of what exactly transpired yesterday.
Yes, definitely. So this was in Liteta village in Chwombo district where the traders there say they don't have any formal market shelter. The only thing that they have is something that just been a market a long time ago, but they didn't have any roofing anymore. So like no one is even there. Like they're just everyone is doing their own thing. People are selling by the roadside. So they're saying they're calling for the construction of market shelters. So they're also saying they feel left out because when you look at places like Lusaka, Kawe, and others, they've got official markets. But when you talk about rural areas, they don't have official markets. But again, Miriam, away from that, I was just, provoked to think that if we construct for them, because they sell by the roadside there and they target people from buses, cars. I was just wondering if they were to be built for a market, would they really leave the roadsides where the buses, these big buses passing and go to them? I wonder. That was just my thought. But they were calling for markets. Let's just take a look at that story.
To play that story, and we'll be transitioning into our next segment where we'll be joined by a political analyst, Chanda Mlenga, and we'll be looking at current affairs. But right about now, let's get direct into playing that story.
Statistics from the Zambia National Marketers Credit Association, Zanamaka, indicate that over 3 million citizens depend on trading activities in markets, on the streets, and along rivers in the country. Despite this number, the construction of market shelters has remained focused in urban areas, leaving those in rural areas with no choice but to sell in makeshift structures due to the lack of formal markets. This is the situation in Liteta village of Chiwombo district, where traders say they too would like a formal market shelter with proper sanitation and roofing to see them trading even during the rain season. They were speaking to Camnet News.
More especially ama toilets. Kusangwa tsama basi abama basi bayiminina ama passengers mu basi. Tabako etoko ya toilet kwa kwa tibenga yo kuli konzi. Instead apa liponse fen pa toilet so tatuli safe especially kuli ashiria health. Ngabatukulira kwa ma toilets ni shito abako safe pa market yesu then na ma shelter pa markets. We don't have shelters, so to say. All the marketeers at our market area does not have shelters. They only make their own, which is not very good when it's raining like this. So we see that they are facing a lot of challenges in terms of shelter. So we are trying to see if the government can also do some simple shelters, just like the way they do in other places like town areas. So like to see this looks like it needs to be like that part area, a little part which can also help the people to also sell in the good condition.
Others say the lack of basic infrastructure like market shelters in some rural areas is making citizens feel left out, urging the current administration to ensure equal development.
Market tatwakwata wino market naifupe tulelomba nafuti kuba fyashi besu ba HH batwafuirisheko bana mayo tulafuo kuchitama kwebo tulafuo kwati nafutu sangwa pa market nomba market yo twakwa tayari tuchepela so bambi takuli ku market umutenge pa market tapali sheote yaba bwino tapaba but abantu balafuo kuchitama kwebo na nawe nenda fuo kuchitama kwebo nomba stand pa market shakwata mlanduka place ko twakwata nafuti ka nono so tulelomba ngati batupangira kona ife market dabai kushako nangwa tupera kwa hapa kulopa kwati batupangira market epo tuingalashitisha.
The informal sector, which includes trading activities, remains one of the major sources of income for majority of Zambians, requiring adequate support from the government. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Chiwombo District.
Quite interesting views there from the traders. Zipporah, I must mention that, it's quite interesting when we see, a lot of traders appeal to government, to the relevant authorities for market shelters, and then later on, if those shelters are built, they do not trade from those places. Quite sad. We have seen that from Seat Market, we have seen that from other places. I don't understand why.
Like, I don't know.
Actually, like, they will say, no business. Those are the things we get most of the time when we go on the road.
And according to what I heard, they want the markets to be constructed near the roadside. They're saying, one mabasi, they just, unite anywhere and all that. So if they could even add toilet. So it's like they want the market shelter to be built at the roadside. But that's not good because there's a certain distance that you have to keep away from the tarmac. There's all these issues like cars carrying out of the road and, causing accidents.
Okay.
But just now we transition into our first interview, which is with Mr. Chanda Mlenga, a political activist, to just help us discuss the proposed impeachment of the head of state. If you are, as you are aware, last week, Thursday, we saw political parties, among them the Citizens First Party, the National Democratic Congress Party led by Saboy Mbola, the Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP, among others, the Golden Party led by Jackson Tilabwe, the Patriotic Front, and many other opposition political parties at a press briefing just calling for the impeachment of the president for allegedly allowing a private company known as Grant Thornton to audit the Ministry of Defense. Do you feel this proposed impeachment is justified, or is it being done on malice? So the phone lines are open. You can call us on the numbers that are scrolling. Just now, we take a short break, but join us as we get joined by our guest.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel. For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet television, not just another channel.
Thank you for staying tuned in. Just now we have been joined by Mr. Chanda Mlenga, who is a political activist as well as a development advocate, to just help us discuss today's topic, which is the audit at the Ministry of Defense, which many opposition political parties have been objecting. So this is after a company, a private auditing firm known as Grant Thornton, was hired to actually audit the Ministry of Defense. Opposition members of parliament, mainly from the Patriotic Front, have been questioning under what circumstances a private company was allowed to audit. And in parliament last Friday, we saw them working out on the same. Good morning and welcome to the set.
Good morning, viewers.
Good morning.
Maybe just to begin, can you just give us a brief background on the same issue and talk about auditing, maybe for our viewers out there, from your point of view? What is the whole wrong? What is the whole issue about?
You know, when you talk of the issue of audit, you try to verify 1 or 2, 3 things that were misappropriated or misapplied. And in this situation, like you have asked me if there was anything wrong with the audit firm that is auditing defense forces. Law Association of Zambia had made it clear that there is nothing wrong with audit. Audit is just audit, just verify what came in, what went out, and what was spent and stuff like that. You know, at the end of the day, the money that is used by public institutions are taxpayers' money. And we have got unscrupulous people that have been using underhand methods to use our defense wings to siphon money from the country, to siphon money from the government coffers. And they would go supply air, they would go supply this and that, you know. Even the same people that are in the defense force, they are not even aware about it. But their accounts were used for such purposes. So when audit has been instituted, there is nothing wrong with that. And the law requires that the Auditor General seeks permission from the President. And the Auditor General cannot just move in without the authority of the President. The President is the Chief of the Armed Forces, and he's got eyes everywhere. So where he comes in and say, I want to do this, I don't think there's anything wrong. He wants things to be done accordingly. And he wants your money, you Zambians' money, to be protected.
I think the bone of contention is about whether the correct procedure was followed, because the PF members of Parliament have been stating that that contract is supposed to be done under the Office of the Auditor General. But then last week Friday, we saw during the Vice President's question time when Her Honor the Vice President was asked which procedure was undertaken, and she indicated that it was done through the Office of the Secretary to the Treasury, and that's what caused and would later go through the Office of the Auditor General. That's what led to the PF members walking out. So they're questioning, is it, which one is which? They're saying last time you said Secretary to the Treasury, this time you're saying it will go to the Office of the Auditor General. So which one is which? So they said they did not receive clear answers, and when they tried to talk about it, they were told by the Speaker of the National Assembly that the matter had been discussed. So they felt like the matter, they were not being given chance as PF members. Also further accusing, at the press briefing, they further accused the Speaker of being biased towards the UPN. Yeah. So that's the whole bone of contention, not the audit, but the procedure around the audit. But the procedure, and when they tried to gain further information, they were told by the Speaker that they can get further explanation from elsewhere, because the answers that they needed at the moment was already provided for.
Okay. You see, I understand members of Parliament from the opposition side. These are members of Parliament that have been in government before, and they are the majority as in the opposition, and not in the ruling party. They are aggrieved people. So whatever comes, whether it is a baked cake, whether it is what, they will always feel things are not done right. So if you are getting things from the members of Parliament, from the opposition side and point of view, you will not get anything right that will better the things to be okay in Parliament. So for them to walk out, they are airing their grievances, and their grievances are baseless, because you are dealing with a government that is consistent with the rule of law. Procedures has to be followed, and our Auditor General cannot just wake up and say, no, can you go and audit defense forces without authority or without permission. These are things that you sit down and look at before you even take an action, and procedure was followed. If the procedure has been followed, what was the purpose of, okay, at what point would the PF opposition members of Parliament be called to go and attend the meeting where the Auditor General is trying to follow the instructions from the President to say, can you audit this firm? Can you audit this department? There was nothing wrong. Nothing wrong was done.
So do you feel the proposed motion to impeach the President is justified?
That motion is baseless. There is nothing wrong that His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema has done wrong.
And there's been this habit.
If there is an issue of impeachment, number one, it should have been communicated to the people on the ground by members from Parliament, because they are the ones who sit in Parliament. The president is not a member of parliament. He is the president. And insinuations that the president should be impeached are baseless. And that has never happened in Zambia. Or should I say in Africa. I've never seen anywhere there where they have impeached the president. For like here in Zambia, we have the constitution, and the constitution provides that the president's term of office is 5 years. And we are just in 2 years. These people have not brought anything on the table because they are supposed to take a motion to parliament. This and that are the wrongs. And after parliament has approved that, quite all right, these are the wrongs that the president has done, and now they can move that motion. Now, what has the president done wrong? By developing the country, is it wrong? No.
Some of the concerns raised by the opposition political members is the issues to do with security. Their concern is that government cannot award a foreign company to audit the country's defense and security wings. Hence, they need to, to cancel the award that was granted. When you talk about the issues of security, don't you think we're somehow affected if we're going to give a private firm to audit the country's defense force and security wings?
If you are giving a contract to audit the defense force wings, and like you are putting it as a foreign country, companies operate independently. Say, for example, when we pick up, maybe, it's just an example I'm giving, we pick PricewaterhouseCoopers to audit the defense force in a foreign country. Pricewaterhouse, we all know that this firm is operating independently as an audit firm. It has nothing to do with any armed forces or anywhere where ammunition or military weapons are concerned. So what is wrong with that? Why are we fearing? Why do we want to steal money from the government? This is our money. Can we please protect our funds? Let's not look at why should they ask me. You know, when something has gone missing, people should ask, or if there is an element of interest, say, I suspect I've missed something. I mean, you can't be questioned, you can't be asked. Even in your own house where you live. Kukasoba chintu munyumba, wanga kwalube chintu munganda. Right? You ask, no, muno munganda, I can't ask my child, but who can I ask? And let me ask my brother-in-law, or let me ask my cousin. Who can do this? Is there anything wrong? Why are the opposition scared with the audit? Why are they scared? They should tell us first their fear. When we know their fears, then we will know that, oh, these are their fears. But they have not said, no, Tio, these are our fears. All they are saying is, it is wrong, it is wrong. What is wrong with being audited? What is wrong with being audited? As to how you have used the finances or how you have run the country. These are people that are coming from a regime where they manage this country, where they were running this nation. Now that we have got a new Dawn government in power, why can't you allow the new Dawn will not go and sit on sorry to say this, you can't go and sit on where somebody has messed up. Sunga olopabedi, sunga gone pali mitundo. Uyanzurapo wafakapo chinango. You see what I mean? So if the government is trying to better the process of operation of procurement of things in the nation, we need to support Zambians and not to condemn. What are we condemning?
Now, other concerns raised by the opposition members is that the government is citing the president, of course, President Hakainde Hichilema, is directing business to companies where he has a relationship with. Grant Thornton has been singled, there have been rumors, or rather assertions, that the president holds shares in that company. Hence the reason why that contract was awarded to them.
You know, I'll answer that in my personal capacity and not as a government position. President Hakainde Hichilema, if he is associated with Grant Thornton, then that is a lie. Because today, he is a Republican president. Honestly. What shares would we need when he is a president there and his interest is to better your lives? Do you think he can go for a small company like Grant Thornton and say, no, I'm going to have shares and get a benefit from there? For what? And besides, he has got a record, he's on record that he is the richest Zambian in Zambia. Why should we go and siphon your small money from using a private company? No, that is wrong. Those assertions are for the opposition. You know, we people, when we are coming up, we have got a record of where we come from. Even me, I've worked, maybe, I've worked as a cleaner, I've worked as this and that, At the end of the day, you can't say, no, because you worked in that company, or because you worked in that shop, or you worked in that company, or Mudogets, then that is wrong.
Now, when
those are just
looking at the current current status of the economy in the country, we are talking about, paying back the debt off. We have these challenges. We are not doing so well as a country. And then some of the concerns raised by the opposition is that when we hire these private international firms to audit the country's defense force, it comes with a high cost. Don't you think, again, we are taking ourselves back when we are dealing with issues of building our economy in the country?
Mama, cheap is expensive. Okay. You don't want to bring in people to audit you using a back pocket. No. When the audits have been...
Isn't it high time we built capacity in our own local auditors here?
This is what the president is trying to do. Number one, we are saying, this, like the firms that you mentioned of, which firm did you mention?
That's Grant Thornton.
Grant Thornton. Is it a foreign country or a local company?
It's foreign owned.
Yeah, it's
operating in Zambia.
It is operating in Zambia. And once anyone who is in Zambia, then he has to follow the guidelines of the Zambian laws. We've got our own standards of doing things as Zambians. So you don't expect, even if Grant Thornton is coming from Switzerland, they will not operate in Zambia using the Switzerland's law. They will use the Zambian laws, because for a firm to be accredited and to operate in Zambia, it needs to follow the guidelines of the Republic of Zambia, because Zambia is governed by laws, the constitution, and the rules of law.
Quite interesting. Then, in case you're just joining us, we are discussing the controversial issue of the awarding of a contract to a private auditing firm known as Grant Thornton audit the Ministry of Defense. Now, this led to Patriotic Front members walking out of Parliament last week, a situation which led to the Speaker of the National Assembly also stating that they will not get the sitting allowance for that day. So do join us by calling on the numbers that are scrolling on your screen, or leave us messages on Facebook. And we actually have a message from one of our viewers here who says, it is important for UPND to explain the procedure used. Can we try to avoid lawlessness like we saw in the past? So what's your thought on that? So this viewer, maybe someone suggesting that the UPND are not being really clear, giving a clear answer, maybe just a clear procedure.
I think this viewer should be able to understand where the whole scenario is coming from. This country is on record to have lost billions.
So does it mean
money that is supposed to have gone to the poor, money that is supposed to go and help the vulnerable people, has been misapplied. Now, here's a situation. You have a president who says, oh, can we have audit? You have a government that says, can we audit and verify where the problem is? Because this government cannot come inherit the wrongs and continue with the wrongs.
Does it mean you should not follow procedure because of trying to
the procedure has been followed. The procedure, I've explained
it may be followed, but the explanation maybe is not being clear to many people, hence the wrangles.
At the end of the day, a true and proper statement will be issued. For those that do not understand.
We do have a caller, Mr. Mlenga. Just hold your thought there.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, may you please know who I'm speaking to and where you're calling us from?
You are speaking to Bewa Newton, calling you from Ngombe Compound, Lusaka.
Okay, it's good to know that Ngombe is watching. Kindly go ahead.
I want to contribute over the motion that is being discussed right now. Mostly when people are in the opposition, they want to oppose whatever is happening. No matter if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, what they know is to oppose. So like the auditing process that is happening right now, we see it as a good thing, inviting the private sector to change its gate. Because if you invite somebody with just the same, people have got, they stay back. They may be auditing unprofessional. If we look into the angle that maybe the auditing will cost too much because we invited the foreign sector, that is wrong because he has already said cheap is expensive. You got it.
Okay.
So what we need to do is to see to how is it going to bring the benefit unto us. We can suspect that maybe if we call the private sector to investigate in our country, we are putting insecurity, or maybe we are risking our security sensitivity. That is wrong. We just need to go ahead and do the right thing right away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Newton from Ngombe, there for your contribution. Maybe your response to the caller.
As I said earlier on, Mr. Mbewe has said opposing the audit is a good thing. You see, now he says the members of parliament are just opposing for the sake of their own personal benefits because they don't want to be checked. The people that have opposed these motions are not from other entities. These are people that were in power before. So they are opposing. We've heard the statements where they've said, this audit is meant for us to be arrested. This audit will make us get caged. No. If you did the right thing, you come out clean. And if
Yeah, and previously we saw, during the previous administration, we used to see, we have another caller.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. We can get you. Who are we talking to this morning?
I am Paul.
It's good to know that you're watching. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes. Myself, I am not a lawyer and I don't know much about it. But according to the book that you have concerning the auditing of our defense forces, I am a concerned citizen. It is like you guys here, they are wrong by opposing the situation. But as for me, pertaining to the people of the country, I don't think it is a good thing to invite foreign auditors to come and audit our defense forces, our defense friends. For me, it's not a correct thing for a country to do that because foreign auditors, they know what is behind our defenses. You know what? We've got the auditors within our country who are equal to the tax. It applies to our auditors, our auditor company. They can audit our defense forces. Now, our lawyer is supporting the government to invite the foreign auditors to come and enter into our state to see what we have written in our country, to build our country. Me, I don't see a good thing for a government to do that. So I don't know much about property. According to what I've seen, I don't think a good thing. So the lawyer here is taking the country.
He is not a lawyer, Mr. Paul. He is a political activist. He's not a lawyer, just to put that on record.
Okay.
Yes.
Then that's part of it. But see, for me, as I have said, I don't think it's a good thing. Because these guys, they know more about our defense forces. Because they know how much they are spent to buy which one. So meaning that they will know the weapons that we have, the people that we have in our country. If the government would use our home for auditors, it's not right for government from these auditors rather than inviting outsiders. I end my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank
that
you so
contribution.
much.
Maybe a response to the caller.
Yeah,
His concern is mainly on security.
You can talk of security. If you heard him, he said he's not comfortable with inviting foreign auditors to audit the defense forces. And according to the question that you asked, you did not ask about foreign auditors. You said, is it right for auditors, is it right or wrong for auditors to audit the defense forces? Mr. Paul should be aware that his money, Zambian people's money, comes from the government coffers. He is a taxpayer. Whether you work, you don't work, you contribute tax in some way from the commodities that you purchase. And that money should be taken to good use. I have explained that there are unscrupulous people that have been using the defense force without the defense force knowing that they are being used to siphon government resources. And now, if the government says, we want to see who used this procedure, honestly, in Bemba they say, apa fukechushi nishpanishi nishpali modilwai. You can't have smoke without fire. Wherever there is fire, wherever you see a smoke, then there is fire under. So, meaning there is some information that has come, but how do we open the minds of these defense forces to say people have been stealing money using these underhand methods? Let's bring these things to light. We have seen, it's not the first time that these things are being done. When President Patrick Levi Mwanawasa was in power, we saw generals being arrested for misapplying public funds. During Rupia Banda, we saw generals being arrested. So now, how do we avoid the embarrassment that is being caused on the generals? Is to audit, because the general is not aware of what is happening on the ground. Now, if there is someone who's got an eye and say, okay, can we have an eye? We don't want to believe this. Here says, can we have internal auditors so that we verify what is happening
Just
there?
hold your thought there, Mr. Mlenga. We have another caller. Hello, good morning. You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning? Mr. Who? Sir, please, you have to call us back. Your line is breaking. You have to call us back. And those watching us on Facebook, please do float those messages and we will be able to read them through. Mr. Mlenga, you can just continue with your earlier thoughts.
Yeah, we don't want the wrong things to continue happening, where top leadership is being embarrassed in the name of misapplication of public funds. That's why we have these audits. And it's not only the defense force that is being audited. Many institutions will be subjected to audit. And I'm not speaking this as on behalf of the government or as UPND. I'm not UPND, I'm an activist for development. In order to see development prevailing in the nation, we have to do the right thing. We cannot develop if the wrongs are allowed. We don't want to be in this chorus of every time public fund is over or kubabazingati. No. Can we have a system? And that system that will stand the test of time. Even you here, if you have not been audited, you'll be audited. Expect that.
You have nothing to hide.
So let's ensure that we are doing the right thing at the end of the day. Things that will benefit the interest of a mere Zambian. We are Zambians at the end of the day, and we need peace in Zambia. How do you have peace when somebody is stealing your money?
No, Mr. Mlenga,
Yes.
I'll just take you back again. Does it mean the awarding of the contract to these to Grant Thornton? Does it mean that the Auditor's General Office is competent to do the work?
That is a very competent office to do the work. And how many reports have you seen from the Auditor General's office? There are many reports that the Auditor General has produced. And we have seen people being prosecuted, being taken to court over the reports that come from the Auditor General. And you, the same people, have said, no, the Auditor General is biased because it's government and stuff like that. Now, here is a chance. You get an external who has got no interest in the.
There have been accusations of interest.
What interest?
The accusations
Are
have been
these private companies part of the government? Are they coming from Ministry of Finance, or are they coming from Ministry of no. These are independent auditors. You have been trying to say no. The office of the Auditor General is biased because they are aligned to the government. Now they bring you external auditors. You still cry. Why should we continue having baby cries in the nation?
And in case you're just joining us, we are discussing the auditing of the Ministry of Defense by Grant Thornton, a private auditing firm.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet television, not just another channel.
We apologize for this short interruption. We just had a short power outage, but nevertheless, we are back on set as we continue discussing the issues of Grant Thornton. And as we conclude on this and head into other issues surrounding Constituency Development Fund, we're just going to play a short story done from Friday last week when the Patriotic Front members of Parliament walked out.
I think we should read between the lines, even when we are talking. I think that the member may have to bring the verbatim of what I said, the chain, and where. In fact, I was responding to a question where they said, how will this report come here? And I said, it will finally come through the Auditor General. That one I said. And I think a lot of clarification, Madam Speaker, were made yesterday through the minister, the substantive minister for the Ministry of Information. What are we looking for?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, greetings from the people of Ron.
Can you do it? Stop the clock. Can you do it quietly? Next time there will be no sitting for people who walk out. Because Taxpayers' money will not be paid to people who walk out of work. So for those people that are walking out, there is no sitting allowance for today. You can go and sit outside.
Now, previously, Mr. Chanda, we used to see in the opposition, when UPND was in the opposition, we used to see them walking out of parliament. Now we have seen the same trend continue with the Patriotic Front. Don't you feel they have the same right that the colleagues used to exercise previously? Because we've seen them being condemned for that act.
The matters at hand are different. The debate under which these members of parliament walked out of parliament was progressive. What they could have done, the right thing they could have done was to go ahead with the debate the motion excessively and see it to its conclusion. If somebody comes, can we discuss this, and you walk out, what is the meaning of that? That is being inconsistent. They represent the people of Zambia. They don't represent the will of an individual. If their leader decided to say, can we walk out? You know, they've gone to parliament in their individual capacities. They were not voted by one constituency. They were voted by different constituencies and different people. So when you go to parliament as a member of parliament, what you should have in mind is, number one, you prioritize where you are coming from. Because the people who took you there, they want to hear you, what you are going to present in parliament in order for them to be represented. Now you just follow someone who feels he walks out. You just walk out like that. No, things should not be done like that. And you can't tell me that they had a collective agreement to say walk out after this motion. No, they just you just see someone moving out. You also they say so this is what we are seeing. Our members of parliament should come together, whether in opposition, in ruling party. They make motions that will benefit the people of Zambia, motions that are constructive, motions that will be exhausted by way of fully debating them. Because we wait to hear from them. We are waiting, we are seated. You know, we've got Parliament TV now. Every time we don't go to Parliament, but we are in our offices, we are in our homes. We want to listen to them and see what is happening in Parliament. And then the person wants to hear something from walks out of Parliament. What is that? Mm-hmm. No, that is not a good trend. And if there was a way, the speaker was very lenient by just talking about not them getting what's this?
We have a caller, Mr. Mlenga.
They should have just been suspended.
We do have a caller there. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
We're fine. How are you doing?
No, we are not doing fine.
Okay. Can you tell us your name and what your contribution?
Yes. I remain anonymous.
Okay.
I'm very happy to hear I'm calling you from Chilanga.
Okay, it's good to know that Chilanga is watching. Please go ahead.
Yeah. You know the political activist there, Lamulenga.
Why?
Yalanda, member of parliament, he already walked out from the parliament. Yeah, what he's saying is true. But let him bear in mind that you as political activists, you should condemn all the sorts of things which are not happening properly in Zambia. Because when you talk of just opposition members walking out of parliament, what of these other things? When other things are happening, you are quiet. So Chiramo Mulenga, Pale Mutuma Mulesanga, Wokalusanga, Kautra, Mamole Konde, the face on one side. Be fair. After I was arrested in Indora, what did you do? Did you condemn that? So in our own country, we should show how to do things according to how Zambians are supposed to do. now we are going to see that this country will come back into normal. Even opposition by then used to work out of family. So what is wrong with EPF working out of family when things are not? That is one of the reasons, or one of the signs to say the MPs are protesting when things are not good. So let's be fair in the way we contribute, because you are talking on behalf of the rest of the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I think that was more of advice rather than a question. We seem to have run out of time. So maybe just quickly touch on CDF before we close.
Now let me finish with the anonymous caller. You can't eat what is on the table. The issue that we are discussing here is what we have tackled. The issue of HK being arrested in Indola, is it Kalulushi, has got nothing to do what is on the table here. And we have not touched it. If you want to the table, what has been presented is what we are discussing. We're not going to discuss what is not here. I hear you, I take your advice, and you hear me more. And the issue of me being given money or being paid, UPND does not even give me anything. I don't represent them in any way. I'm doing this as a development activist, and I want you, a Zambian person, to benefit from your own resources in your own country, which is Zambia. And I'm sure Mario Fapo takuwa batantame ni UPND takuwa ba attention utuma handouts takuwa. So don't think when we come we do these things for you to develop this nation that maybe we are doing it out of monetary gain. There is no gain. Thank
you so much, Mr. Mlenga. This is where we come to the end of our first segment. We were joined in studio by Chanda Mlenga, who is a political activist, and we were looking at current affairs issues. Among them, among those issues that we discussed, is the issue to do with Grant Thornton. But anyway, I think I'll pick up this caller before we transition into our next segment.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning? Okay, Baba, okay, what's what better contribution in?
Yeah, I'm very confident of Sibamulengo. Sibamulengo, Kuankuanda Kwavo, whatever is that for the church of water. Our previous scholar of Liverpool, they go to Avamona. Being water to water. Among member of parliament, very present. What present of the parliament, to be a woman, we push out, but you push out, I'm not like a way that's what it is. We push out the graduation from parliament. Who can support that? Parliament, what more to run there for the character, not to the amount of opinion they were required, and what they require, if what they come out. We are here to present us from our voters. So I want to present, but I think he is supporting what happens, which is not okay. That was my contribution.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right about now, go direct into taking a short break, and we'll be joined by our guest, our next guest, Mr. Joras Ngoma, who is coming from the leadership movement. He's the national coordinator, and we'll continue with our topic of discussion, looking at current affairs. Right about now, we take a short break.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel. For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel. For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Right about now, as I earlier mentioned before we went on a short break, that we'll be joined in studio by the Leadership National Coordinator, Jera Singoma, who is going to help us discuss various national issues, among them touching on the current state of our economy, production issues, lack of medicines in hospitals, among other things. Good morning and welcome to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Madam Miriam, and the viewers.
Good morning.
We are sustained to be here today.
Going direct into our main discussion this morning, you as leadership movement, on several occasions you have talked about the need for production, the need to have locally made medicine, to manufacture our own medicine in the country. Let's speed up to that.
Thank you very much. The buzzword here is production. You know, when you have a country where you have neglected the lane of production in the aspect of, now when we talk of production, it is a real production, local production, where our local entities are encouraged. Unlike the other way around, where you put foreigners as your firstborns and your locals are taken to the slaughter with so many impediments in terms of taxes which do not encourage them to take part in their local economy. So as leadership movement, we are looking at the local concept where you relax these impediments to your locals such that they get engaged in a manner that in the hierarchy of needs, food has to be taken care. This is a very important component where for people to be sustained, they need to be assured of this food where it can be at manageable levels. But here is a situation where the new Dawn told the Zambian people that it will start with 3 state farms, marijuana cultivation. We told them this is the way to go. It's the way where we are going to inculcate what we call the educated or not. As long as one is capable, is able to handle a pick and a shovel, we know that this is a cash crop. You are going to get a lot of resources so that your young people, they get something to do in the lane of the blue-collar job, not where they put this discrimination in the name of documents. No, a grade 12. No, this one, 6 points. What is very, very crucial now is the labor to be taken to where it is needed. That's why for us we are talking of state farms, because there we know that for us ZNS will be embracing everyone, educated or not. Now, having said that, this economy, when you look at it, it is tailored in a manner that foreigners are the ones looting. Why are we saying like this? As we are talking, copper is leaving us daily, and you discover that they are getting a lot of our resources. They don't pay the much needed money to our government, but you, Madam Miriam, if you get 6,000 going above, you are subjected to pay a 35% tax to the government. Now I know when we talk like this, where are you going to be getting the money? There is plenty of money. We have what we call money-making machines. There is Zicta. Probably people don't know that every call that we make, 30% goes to Zicta. Probably this is the money that we don't even know. and we talk of the NFRA. Here we make a lot of money. We have even this way bridge along the way. Then we talk of ZRA. These are the monies that leadership movement is going to localize, starting what we call the state farms. Will be giving food stamps. We know currently the training is ZNS is 6 months. Zambia Army is 9 months. We are going to extend it to 1 year 6, in which our young people, educated or not, you cannot run an economy where you want only the elite. Where on earth can you have such a thinking? It's because we have lost the values of our forefathers. Look, what has happened? The Super Canaan group, they started somewhere, but what have we done? We are busy surrendering our natural resources at the expense of our own people. Now, when you have a mentality of consumption, it is a problem. It has never happened in the history of this country where a teacher, Madam Miriam, hasn't entered this classroom. They get 8,500 kwacha. Cool money. Hasn't even marked a book or anything. Here's a teacher subjected 6,000 kwacha. On top of it, there is a 35% tax paying to the government, and they seem to have no problems with it. And you are telling me this is the government. So that's why we are still challenging the New Dawn, where the head of state was asking for forgiveness when he was in Solwezi. No, this year season we don't have much areas to do with fertilizer. Next year we'll do better. Before we have that understanding of forgiveness, let them tell us what happened with the 3 state farms. Where are they stuck? Because we don't want sentiments where they are telling people that no, we are going to go this route, then they change the direction. So for us to better the status quo in terms of the living standards are very high in these townships. Because here in Kablonga, they may not feel as we move. Recently, we were aware, in Rwangwa here, where we had my by-elections, we look at Katimba, where Honorable this Minister of Home Affairs, Jack Mwembu, comes from. From Monze to Katimba, it's about 50 km. Go there, you see how people, just to get that pencil, the roads are impassable, no electricity. These are the things we should be talking. From Pemba to Monze, it's not much of the distance, but they don't think of how they can help the people there. Now, when we are talking like this, as we are looking at how can you understand that for development to take place, what are these requisites? There are 3 facets. Number 1, you have to understand your environment you are in. Number 2, you have to devise a specific tools to deal with that environment. Then the third one, you attach this skill. Now, what is this environment called? Zambia. What are the challenges? Unemployment. Where are we getting stuck?
We have a caller, Mr. Ngoma. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Good morning. You're through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Who are we speaking to and where are you calling us from?
This is the Reverend Eric Mwanta from Chilawombe.
It's good to know that Chilawombe is watching. Kindly go ahead, Reverend.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank God for the leaders that we have in Uganda, especially the political leaders. I just point out how it is that they usually fail. Number 1, it is education. Number 2, health. Number 3, unemployment. Number 4, it's to do with road network. Number 5, it is to do the attitude of how people should live in the society. Now, I'll start with the case. If you say that let the politicians alone, there's nothing that's going to happen. I'm going to find that the politicians themselves are also our church members. But I don't know where we are going and why they forget about Mr. and the church when they start ruling. James can just go to churches. But when they get voted into office, they forget about the church. They forget about the throne. As the John is talking, the are going to stop crime. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Maybe your response to the Reverend.
Maybe your response to the Reverend, and he spoke about the issue of, political leaders, politicians, when they are right now at the moment, whilst you're still in opposition like yourself, you'll be going to the churches, daily engaging them in various activities, but once you're voted into power, you don't pay attention to any of their concerns or needs.
Thank you very much. We are going to be very candid ourselves. This issue of giving a blanket statement to say politicians, in Zambia we have a problem. There are only two political parties they know, people. There is just UPND and PF. Because leadership movement, we've been doing programs. Here we are, in Kabwe here. You saw how in the previous regime, the Zauko guy was demolishing houses with impunity. This foreigner, they were breaking homes. It's leadership movement which went to stop the nonsense there at Airdrome. We were following you, the people. Media, we were with Prime TV then. Not far from that, Mungule. The Chinese were almost taking land. Zambians are there watching. We went to stop the nonsense. We are not ruling. We are in opposition. In Livingstone, Eureka area there, the same thing. People are almost displaced. We went and stopped the nonsense. The current one in this regime, Mupima here in Kabwe, people were almost evicted there. Leadership movement was called. We went and stood with the people. So now when they talk like this, we don't blame them, because Zambians, we've been subjected to brainwashing. Brainwashing in the sense that we want to be voting on Fitenge's value, we don't know it. This is why we are looking at the mindset transformation. The day Zambians will know that the birthright is the way to go, we need to own this land with title deeds. We need to have state farms where our young people, educated or not, we need tax breaks and tax holidays so that our local businesses are encouraged, and like you prefer the foreigners to have tax holidays at the expense of the locals. And the local is like a concept where no foreigner is going to develop this country. We need to develop our local solutions. This is why you heard us stressing that when we do all these kind of things locally, so we don't source money for elsewhere ourselves. We source money locally. Now, people are giving you that you are the same. What are they talking about? Even UPND, what did they do when they were in opposition? As we have taken a route of the Ubuntu President Dr. Richard Sirumbe has been on record, we've been doing empowerments. The media have been saying they can't talk all that because they think there are only two political parties in Zambia. So we are challenging you, the reverends, to start attaching values to this society so that this land where a foreigner is only called land when a foreigner is there, when it is us, we are given surnames. You are squatters. But when it's foreigners, you give them, no, they have title deeds. So we want you, the clergy also, to start inculcating values in people. They should not be voting for Vitenges, the fifth quarters, because the generation depends on the values. We are what we think. That's why our politics ourselves is different. We don't have time for character assassination, but we are attacking policies. Policies which are going to unset, like we are talking. They told you, the New Dawn, that we are going to start with 3 state farms. How many people are talking about it? As we are talking the production route, but you can't see that. You want to say we are all the same. What do you mean? We need values now. When we talk of values, we need to know what is it that is going to make us better. For as long as we are going to be voting on Fitenge's T-shirt, forget. Because it's like Zambians are subjected to a way where it's in check-a-record business. We don't care how our children will be 50 years from now. As we are talking, land is going. Nobody is talking, and when we talk like this, you think we are dreamers. We talk of the mines. These people are looting our monies, daylight robbery. Nobody is seeing that. Leadership movement has been challenging. We can go the pick and shovel route where we go through ZNS. Our young people, educated or not, allow them tap into their energy, forget about money. You have money here in Zambia. The problem they told you from day one that they find empty covers, and you are agreeing. 1 month just when they assumed office, the ZRA injected 15 billion kwacha in our accounts, and people are told, no, there is no money. We want a mindset where we should reach a point where we say we are equal partners. Look, how can we have a country where we don't want to have our own people to take part in their own resources. You want foreigners to be just subjecting your people at the expense of you and me. So, Reverend, you are spot on, but we are going to encourage you to say there are more than 2 parties in Zambia. So you should look at not just being alarmist, you should look at people who are bringing credible checks and balances. Unlike we just want to be, all of us being, you want to put us together as if we are not reasoning properly. We want to change the way we look at things. And how do we do that? That's why you hear us talk of the mindset transformation. It will be a long journey, we know. That's why it's a long path for leadership movement. We seem to be talking long in terms of the land ownership, running these mining, so that, because other people, they fear, they get money from these multinationals, so they say, when we start talking about that, they will stop funding. This is the mentality we are talking about. We want a country where we'll be running like we are running a leadership movement. We say we get money, we take this money to nitrogen chemicals of Zambia. We should do that, not to wait for a foreigner because we have gotten a loan. They tell you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So the way to go is to localize. Let's have this land protected. By the way, if you can allow me to digress a bit, the aspect of this farming input, the way it has been going, we have never seen any peasant farmer to graduate. The reason is very simple. How can you have this NRC, Madam Miriam, where there are no parameters on this NRC to say, Miriam, Munda Wanu, when 50 by 50, they just use this NRC, you line yourself for FISIP, they give you whatever bags they give you, not knowing that that is a weakest point where criminals now are siphoning this produce to the black market. That's why us have been projecting that we need to have this land ownership with title deeds. Once you have it secured, those people, when they are lining up for FISIP, you'll have calculated the hectareage using what? The title deed. Because the title deed, you with the sure way to know, your farm is 50 by 50, we're going to give you maybe 20 pockets. For us it to be a situation where our banks should be involved, whereby our people, they just get the produce, the bank paying the background, because when you give them direct money, a lot of people may not use it to the expectation. Now, when you look at that, it's only a government which thinks production, because land is the key. You do production on the land. You do production of mining on the land, road infrastructure on the land. You talk of, that's why this is a key component as a resource. Once you protect it, we should be landlords. These people, when they come to us, we should be partnering with them, just like East Patmore, Madam Miriam. That is the land for UNZA. They have gone into an MOU with these developers. After 20, 30 years, that will be a facility of UNZA. That's the same concept. Zambians should not be destitute in their own country. Now, when we talk like this, they say the oppositions, you are the same. But we are bringing the values. These are the values that we should be anchoring our vote, not on fitenges. So now, when you look at the critical thinking...
Mr. Ngoma, I'll just cut you short.
Yes.
Earlier you spoke about we can do away with investors. Don't you think that we need investors in our country in order to achieve our sustainable development goals?
If you got me clearly, I use the buzzword saying production. And in the word of production, you cannot forgo your people not to take part in the aspect of production. And I want to qualify the word production to say it's not only foreign entities. We need to embrace even the locals.
Don't you think the current administration is doing that? The president has been on record on several occasions ensuring that each and every individual in the country takes part in this, have the shares. When we talk about investors, local investors, they also have part of their shares.
Tell me, how many are those? Because as we are talking, Ticho Kakunja, we are from outside. People, even the CDF, they locked it. Kulimakia hapa machama iswagona ma 15 pin yaja. Vantu wagona panyumba pali chairman kwembeke za tangatawe na ndram. Now 15 pin divided by 100 people. How much are you talking about? We are talking of real production ourselves. That's why we are bringing the solutions. To say, the only way to go, let's look at educated or not. Mutamangira, are we at war? You want to employ 5,000 ZNS, 5,000 ZAF, 5,000 Zambia Army. The question we're asking the Zambian people, are we at war? Are we at war? Because the worst enemy we know in terms of the war is poverty. Now, if you are right to government thinking, those are consumptive jobs. You are supposed to employ your young people with energy to these state farms. They don't need hefty salaries. That's why as we go basic, we don't want to complicate things. Once you allow your young people, about 4 million of them, they look at them as useless. For us, that is money. Forex. That's why you hear us talk tough when you talk of localizing some of these things. Because them, the only thing they think is only to employ doctors, teachers, civil servants. A number of young people without documents, they went very early. But today, they've told them no, only those with papers. The idea, my sister, to answer you, production, for it to take place, you need to embrace everyone. Not where you give concessions just to foreigners, your own people are sacrificial lamb. How are you going to help them grow? Right now, ZRI is even following these people with mobile money outside. But the foreigner is left scot-free. We are not told when they will start paying the right to shares. Right now, they're enjoying tax holidays free. But you and me, we are paying the much needed money. You get 6,000 going up, you are subjected to pay 35% tax to the government, but the foreigner's got a field day. So leadership movement is saying that is not the only way to go. We needed by now as a government. Why can't we learn from the Middle East? They have never surrendered their oil field. They are now controlling. But for us, we don't know what kind of tumor is in us. Every day we are surrendering. We don't even run any single mine. When you talk of the mining, no, we don't have capacity. What is the definition of capacity? Because when you go on the copper belt now, you find our young people, they are the ones running these mines. They are underground as we are talking. You find your own gold in Kasensere there. And no, you don't have capacity. We need an equipment. But when you are discovering that gold, you are using a pick and a shovel. So when you go to Chongwe, you go to Rufunza, you go to Serenje, Mukushi, mention them. Foreigners are busy right now looting our resources, using barefooted Zambians, and we is a country we are told, no, you can't go into business. It's only us. You just have to know that you don't have capacity, and we agree to that. So we are saying, as leadership movement, the only way to alleviate the sufferings is when you come up with a blueprint of production. When you talk of production, is this not production which is so smear? Just see copper not hitting your Bank of Zambia. It is going in their own offshores. You look at what we receive here, it's machinery and these wage bills, and you are told, no, you can't do anything. We want to reach a point where we need to exploit our resources. And when we talk of exploiting, we mean working on them, allowing our energy of the young people, whether on a paper or walipe mapepa or punzira, you bring them together, because God has gifted us differently. We cannot all of us be professors. Are you telling me handling a pick and a shovel need a PhD? So this is the kind of thinking where we are coming from. We want to reach a point where Zambians should look at themselves as equal partners and like to be second-class citizens. Now that can only be done when you have a government whose antidote of production is very clear, where you want to bring everybody to count. But to be told that Zambia, you cannot do anything unless foreigners, that's where we are saying we cannot develop like that, my sister. Because here where we are, imagine if this facility was given the encouragement from the background, oh, our Camnet, let's give them the support. They create so many studios, meaning our young people who get some jobs, even Iraq, some of these apparatus we use in this media industry, because you know that a lot of our young people, they may have the talent, they may not have what. These will be institutions where they'll be thriving, they'll be busy. In doing so, you are producing. See what they did to the young man, the Americans. They have adopted him. They have given him the scholarship. What are they going to do? They'll be reaping a lot of resources from our own. Why? But for us, we think it's only the educated, forgetting that even talent, it is part and parcel of the resource. Now, that can only be done when you have a leadership which believes in itself. But where foreigners are the ones that are dictating to you, and you want to surrender everything to them, Zambians, you have disqualified them, they are incapacitated, they are impotent, they can't do anything. This is not the way to go. So we need policies now. We are attacking policies which are subjecting Zambians who are able to do something. Zambians are not lazy. All they are supposed to be told now is, let's go to state farms, We need to produce metrics and metrics of tons. Zambia is land linked. Once we produce, don't worry about your salaries. Once you produce from these salaries, we are going to improve your salaries because we'll have plenty. We'll talk of, like for us, we are going to run ZNS run mines where these young people will be taken to production. You stockpile your mineral at Bank of Zambia there. At this time around, you ask yourself, they say copper is a wasting asset. Now, if it's a wasting asset, how do you allow these colonial masters to be looting it free of charge? And you are told, no, you give them tax concessions so that you have better production in terms of... after that, what did we get? 8% reduction in terms of production. And you want to believe that these people mean well. Copper Belt was not like that before these investors came. So, my sister, to tell you the truth, even at home, you need to have like a backyard. You need to have like a backyard. You cannot always be just in Congo, the chape, kalo. There are a number of deaths in my compound. People are dying, committing suicide now because they are learning from the new dawn where the only way to survive is to go and look for kalo. So we need now a lane of production. People should be told that whether on a paper or ulipe paper, mpamvu linazo, we can go and work in these state farms. It's not something that is not workable because we have learned from our forefathers in the University of Zambia. Did we get money from these foreigners to build the University of Zambia? Even UTH here. Locally, so our people had a philosophy, that an ideology. But here where we are today, everything we think of is foreigner. We are busy, and then very soon you hear that, no, we want a cooperating partner. We don't seem to have the nerve to do things of our own.
Mr. Ngoma, you're talking about attacking policies.
Yes.
Are you saying in other ways that the policies put in place by the current administration, which is the UPND, is not in favor of the citizen, is not in conformity, in short?
My sister, even you as you are talking there, will ask you how much is a bag of millet. How much are you paying from where you are coming to this workplace? And this government, the first day they entered the State House, was to squash subsidy. No, we want cost reflective of the international market. Was the international market voting? Because when you are the president, your role is to safeguard your people. Now, such a policy which suppresses the poor trodden Zambians, and you want leadership movement to acknowledge, we are going to attack it. Because what you are supposed to do, they should remember, they told the Zambian people that milling was going to be bought at what? 50 kwacha. Fertilizer was supposed to be bought at 250 kwacha. And they spoke about the 3 mills. Now, how are you going to work on those modalities when, as we are talking, ZESCO has submitted to Energy Regulation Board? Very soon we will not be shocked that they will do upwards adjustment in terms of their subsidy. This is the colonial master now who is using IMF. And they know that when they subject you to a point where you can't think any longer, the next thing we'll hear is that, no, we are getting ZESCO. You have failed to pay this and that. You see, that's why we are saying you need a policy where a station like this one was supposed to be given tax breaks so that it goes big and better, so that your young people are supposed to be finding where to work. Now like this, the institution is struggling because just to have a normal, I've used a public transport coming from town. People just to load my sister back on my bus, they are sleeping in these stations to wait for the next day. If you look at these who are using bigger buses, they are even having these using to my ICE buses because cashing is a challenge. Now, you look at the periodic adjustment of fuel. So this coming month you will hear them. Why not think for the people? President Joe Biden, you saw him when the war started in Ukraine. He had to go and offload barrels and barrels of fuel on the local market. But here, we are told, no, remove the subsidy for your own people. Now, when they were squeezed there with the Russia war, what did they say? No, let's start giving subsidies to our citizens. They felt the pain the African government were going through. Now, we have told the new dawn that we are a sovereign state. They can go to Russia and start striking cheap deals. Our friends, China is going to Russia, India is going to Russia, Brazil is making cheap deals, India and Hungary. Why are we subjected to these people? The reason is very simple. When you don't have policies which should allow your people, and when we talk of the people, it should start with the government. How do you maroon your people? No, go and form associations who give, and they are not told what kind of business they are going to do. You even send these tankers as if you are joking the Zambian people, the 70 tankers on the copper belt. Meanwhile, in then you have locked it. Where are they going to be getting the so-called fuel when they can't make those cheap deals? So we want them to be thinking in a way that the policies are encouraging should feed the Zambian people and not the paper it is written on. So when we talk like this, these are the production lane we are talking about, because you cannot have an economy where it has no source of the backbone in terms of the economy. So this new dawn, we are telling it, let them explain to the Zambian people, because in the national budget, we have never seen where they failed with their 3 state farms, so, which they told the Zambian people. We want the Zambian people to be told, oh, Palitina Kangiwa, ni hapa na hapa na hapa na hapa. Not to be told, no, forgive us, see, this is only the bottleneck, see. So next, before we go there, tell us, where are you start with the 3 state farms? Because that is the methods, that is the genesis. We are going to look at it. How are we going to extract some of the drugs locally? Now, you are good at sentiments. It is speech after speech, speech after speech. So, we need Zambians now to know that leadership movement, it is going to not stop as long as a policy is meant to subject. When young people are voting, they were not told about their papers, my sister. Today, you saw even in the census jobs, we are calling it ourselves. You saw how stampede it was. Even in Solwezi, in Solwezi where we had some stampede, where we even had our young people injured there. Now you ask me a question. If truly these people, they meant well, we have the energy of the young people, which is just stuck in this township. But if you are given them the aspect of to do with educated or not, ZNS as we are talking right now, it was going to absorb as many people as possible. We got the production route, blue collar job where labor is. Unlike you want to just get the upper numbers. How can you develop an economy like that? It has never happened. We need to know there's no country which has fallen from heaven with bags of money using IMF. They had to engage their young people. Because when we talk to young people, they are energetic, their creativity, their innovation. Once you put them together, take your phone right now at town, central business town. It is having some, you'll be shocked how they work on that. We have the minds, but all we need is to make sure that we give them a direction. But when you don't, their route is consumption, consumption, consumption. When you talk of them employing, how do you rush to go and employ the defense forces as if we are at war? We need them to take that money to nitrogen chemicals of Zambia so that we should recapitalize it. We start producing things of our own. The local business, you want to go and get people. We have no problems if that company which is auditing the defense is Zambian owned. But what we have a problem is where you want to sideline your locals. That money was supposed to be given to our local businesses so that they grow big and better. But because they are wearing, it is that of a foreigner. They think this is what we call in leadership movement, the colonial mentality, which thinks anything foreign is better than our own. So we can't develop with such a mindset. That's why today we are telling the Zambian people that the only way to come out of this challenge is when we ourselves get engaged, understand that there is no foreigner who will come and develop. These foreigners, they follow resources here. They follow the profit. Once they make the profit, they have nothing to do with us. So we need now to do the mindset transformation. Local is like a concept where we should challenge ourselves. Why are we doing the same thing one after the other? The reason now is Zambians need to be encouraged that all is not lost, and there are many opposition political parties. We need to be fair when we are criticizing, not to say our opposition. You need to be very specific in terms of criticizing the opposition, if at all.
Quite interesting. Unfortunately, we seem to have run out of time, but in under 1 minute, maybe you can just give your conclusion and just maybe answer this pertinent question from our viewer out there who states or is rather questioning like how realistic is the manifesto. Maybe based on the past that we've also heard previous other political parties, but when they come, they say, no, the political system does not allow us, we need to change the system before we do this thing. So how realistic in under 1 minute?
The realistic is as the same question that we can pose to the Zambian people, because these leaders, my sister, they don't put themselves to state house. It is the society out there. So this is why we are wasting, not really wasting, we are investing this time to elaborate, to explain to the Zambian people that, is it true that Zambians, we cannot do things of our own? Is it true that in Zambia, we have no people who can go the route of production? It's only foreigners. So when we talk of us talking about some of these issues, we are just encouraging the Zambian people that it is up to you to judge, but as leadership movement, we know that land is everything. You may forget all these other things. The best example is the Chingola one. You compare it with Forest 27 here. They are still seated. There they have gone to break it because those are poor trodden Zambians. They don't matter. Here they are talking Wama report, no water table. We don't want that kind of reasoning. We need to be fair enough. That's why we want that title deed to be given to a lot of us Zambians so that we remain citizens safeguarded, not to be destitute in our own country. So having said that, you can forget everything, but ask yourself, is land not a requisite? So when you answer that question, then you are going to start attaching values. When they come with vitenges, ask them, tizapika chitenge chivana vadye ngati t-shirt, are we going to use this t-shirt to buy medicine for our children? Then you'll be able to know that these politicians, when they come now, they'll be adding value. When you talk of value, you don't have to do it. Have the values so that at the end of the day, we safeguard the future generation, the great Zambia. Logo is Laka. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Jairus Ngoma from the Leadership Movement Party. Earlier, we were joined by Mr. Chanda Mlenga, a development and political activist, discussing the issue of Grant Thornton. And then just now, we are discussing current affairs. But that is it from us today. Until tomorrow, join Prudence Rota and Katamanda as they take you into politics from Miriam and I. It's until next week, Monday. Have a blessed Wednesday.